What's going on, YouTube? This is Starting Five Podcast, and today we have a Western Conference X Factor. This is part two. If you haven't seen the Eastern Conference video, please go check that out. I got Reese with me, I got Mike, Dez, and Vaughn, and we're gonna hop straight into it. So, Reese, go ahead and start us off. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder. We know this is your team. I see you got Chet Holmgren, uh, possible DPOY. We'll see. But tell me about Chet and what he brings to this team.
Yeah, man. Right off what you said, DPOY candidate, man. He gotta go out there and really hoop. It's so many front courts in the West that are threatening that if he doesn't go out there and hoop to his maximum potential, the OKC is in trouble. As we know, the biggest threats to the OKC is the Spurs with Wimby. Wimby. You got the Rockets who got Alpi, and then you got the Nuggets who got the big motherfucker Joker, bro. So I know he don't always be the main assignment on those players, but he is the most impactful help side defender in the league right now. As we see that the OKC is number one in the West for a reason. It's on the backs of not only Shea, who gets all the credit, but Chet also is having a phenomenal season for himself. So we need to see that more from him throughout the whole entire playoff run for them to be able to be a back-to-back champion.
Absolutely. Dez, what do you need out of Chet for them to go back to back?
Um, just like some of the things that Reese spoke on, of course, like the defense, I think he's going to pretty much bring that every night. But for me, it's more so like the consistency on offense, knocking down this outside shot, and then just taking advantage of like smaller defenders and mismatches and things like that. I feel like this season, he's been doing a really good job at that, and actually like with Shea missing some time and Dub missing some time, it's kind of been forcing him to kind of get more into his offensive bag. So if he kind of can do that in the playoffs and relieve a little like pressure from like Jalen Williams and Shea, I think Chet just being that offensive player can take them to a whole nother level. So
That's a good point, Des. I didn't mention the offensive part on Chet. Chet definitely got to knock down them open jumpers. That's really the main part of the offense that I need him to do. Knock down your open jumpers. He's open all the time on the jumpers. So
yeah.
I need them.
Absolutely. Vaughn, you got my label. I got from my label, Kaysen. So I got to pass it over to you. Kaysen Wallace is very underrated from a casual perspective. So, what can Kaysen do to take the team, to the promised land?
I think with Dub being out, I think we've seen Kaysen kind of step up and give more numbers in every aspect. You feel me in terms of passing the ball and scoring a little bit. So I really put Kaysen because my thought process was of not being fully healthy, and if he can alleviate some of that pressure that Dub was applying last playoffs with giving him 30 balls and 40 balls, with just Kaysen after putting up a 20 at least, you feel me, while still being a 1A 1B defender on the toughest guy on the other opposing team. I feel like he's going to be probably the biggest X factor, just because defensively he's going to have one of the highest jobs, and as we've seen OKC dealing with injury, if they do have somebody go out, we all know Kaysen has been an Iron Man this year, so him stepping up in other ways would work wonders for them.
Yeah. Mike, I see we on the same page with Dub. I'm gonna go ahead and let you lead this off. Why you think Jalen Williams is the X factor for the Thunder?
Yeah, my thing was honestly him being in and out of the games hurt very much. And so I don't really know right now who is the second option, honestly. Usually I'm used to seeing him. Some days is Chet, you know. So it's with me, like is he gonna be the point forward we seen, the one to take over games when Shea, not at his best? Well, Shea gonna be Shea, but is he gonna, pick up that pace like how he did last season? So I
Yeah.
feel like that's gonna be I feel like he got some big shoes to fill up, and him being on and off the court, that's gonna play a big role, bro. Like that's gonna
Mhm.
play a big role. Like we need you. Simple
Yeah.
as
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah, we saw the Thunder struggle when Dub came back earlier this season. Um, but we've also seen how good they look when he's hooping in the playoffs. I can go through games game by game in the playoffs. When he doesn't play well, that's when they're in tight games, and when he plays really well, they look like a whole different roster. So we'll go ahead and move on to the Spurs. And I want to keep it with you again, Mike. I'm being a little selfish. My label, not my label, but my guys is here, and he's not a part of my label. But he's a guy that I've touched on earlier this season, and Dylan Harper. So what do you think about Dylan Harper, guy coming off the bench for the Spurs?
Know what we just said about the rookies? You feel me? before before it was lights, camera, action. But I'm not gonna lie, with this particular team, I always feel a little bit different because we talking about first and second seed here. So with Dylan, he has a big role, bro. He's a rookie. Yes, I understand that. Bro, he's not no average rookie though, bro. He coming in off the bench as a six man, giving you 16, you know. I feel like though that's needed now. Cause you show what you can do. I feel like he gonna always be that. Well, not always. Right now, up in his career, he's the X factor to me on this team.
Okay, Vaughn, I see you got a flamethrower, a guy who we know he like to shoot, Devin Vassell, and he's a scorer. So on a team like this, what is his scoring bring?
It brings alleviating the pressure from Wemby, from Stephon Castle, from De'Aaron Fox. You feel me? I feel like the same with the Mitchell Robinson in the Eastern Conference video. The games we see Devin Vassell actually go out there and hoop, he typically winning. You feel me? So if Devin Vassell can go out there and give you 5 threes a game, like we know he can, capable like at times, then this Spurs team entirety will be different. Honestly, I think with D Fox, we've seen him in a playoff setting, so we know he's capable of it. But this is Devin Vassell's first time in the playoffs, and he's been in the league for 5-6 years. You feel me? And it's a young guy who's trying to prove himself because he does want a higher contract. You feel me? So being a flamethrower is just gonna open up doorways to more money, honestly. So I feel like if he hoop, then the Spurs just flowing.
Yeah, you touched on D Fox. We're talking about guys getting significant minutes in the playoffs. He's one of the few on this roster, next to HB and Luke Cornett, and they're not getting nearly as many minutes as he is. So I definitely think that he needs to. We've only seen a small portion of him in the playoffs, but they're going to need some consistency because all these guys are young, and it's going to have to come from him. He's going to have to be that leader. Dez and Reese, I see y'all share the same sentiment. Dez, go ahead and tell me your thoughts on De'Aaron Fox as his X factor.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I spoke on in like a previous pod we had, like some of our vets in the league are 27, 28 years old now. So De'Aaron Fox is considered a vet on this team. So in the playoffs, they're going to need that like veteran experience. I know he only played in the playoffs like one time, but he just really hasn't been as consistent as we wanted him to be for this team. And it's actually surprising that they are still that high of a seed with like how he's been playing. I know he was an all-star, which I don't think he deserved, but we're definitely going to have to see like that De'Aaron Fox that we know, of course, coming through for them in the fourth quarter. Just things like that. Just more consistency out of him. So
Yeah, I had De'Aaron Fox like I said, he's been in the playoffs before, but he only played one series. So if he can go out there and have that same type of output that he did when he was on the Kings for this team, as an OKC fan, I can honestly say I'm terrified of this team when De'Aaron Fox is rolling. Because those are the games that we seem to get steamrolled in. And if they steamroll in the champs, they could steamroll the whole entire league for real. If a De'Aaron Fox is out there averaging 27, like we seen last time he was in the playoffs. So if he go out there and averaging near 30 points, you still got Wemby and them boys hooping. That's really what you need out of D Fox. So yeah.
Definitely. We'll see what D Fox can bring come playoff time. Moving on to the next, we got the Houston Rockets. And Vaughn, I want to start off with you. I see you got Reed Shepherd. We know Reed Shepherd is bringing offense. Defense don't really, don't ask too much of him. So on offense, though, what do you need game to game from Reed Shepherd to be the X factor for this team?
I think we just need Reed to be poised. Last year Reed was thrown into the fire, but wasn't really getting minutes because they had Freddie, and now they don't have another point guard to alleviate the pressure off of him. So we need Reed to step up and kind of tell the truth as a true point guard a little bit. You feel me? Like, I think people need to understand that the playoffs is a different beast. So although we seeing Reed playing fairly well right now, intensity is 10 times higher, so that can dwindle in a heartbeat. But if Reed steps up and become more poised in the playoffs, then I think it'll do wonders for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you, Reese, because we know some reports came out about Jabari Parker and what KD was saying about him. Do you think that's gotten to him? And if it had, how does that affect his play going forward, regarding this X factor?
Yeah, one thing about it though, Jabari probably already done heard from his vet KD that don't listen to the noise. We already addressed that on the Pick and Roll podcast where KD burner account coming out with all these subliminals about Jabari play, but that's why I think he's the X factor, because clearly he is a very pivotal, important role for this offensive output from the Rockets. As we all know, the biggest letdown of the Rockets is their offensive play, and he's part of the reason. He's very inconsistent as an outside shooter, but I tried to explain that to y'all before that I don't think that was necessarily his game going into the league, and he's learning this role. So if he can somehow, some way find a way to get clicking on the right cylinder in the playoffs and have just even one or two hot playoff series, this team can go a little further. They can even make a Western Conference Finals. As we see players that's in his role, like that fourth option, those players be the biggest like turning point players for teams. Like a player like PJ Washington we seen a few years ago for the Dallas Mavericks. If Jabari can have those type of series where he just knocking down that short corner three, getting to the cup, playing with high intensity on defense, this team is looking a little different. So yeah, that's why I got Jabari.
Well said. Well said. I see Mike Dez and I have Amin Thompson. Dez, we've seen Amin Thompson this season maybe not take that jump that everybody anticipated. Will that come? That remains to be seen. But what can he bring for this team currently, to help them on a nightly basis?
On a nightly basis, I think he can bring defense, of course, and playmaking. But I want to see what he can bring offensively in the playoffs, because we all know in the playoffs things slow down. Um, Defenses lock in more, and of course he doesn't have an outside jump shot still yet. So I want to see how he can still like find ways to be effective on the offensive end, because teams in the playoffs, if you can't shoot or create a shot on the outside or anything like that, they're gonna legit not guard you. So how can you find ways to be effective offensively to still help the team kind of be successful? And then of course, like I said, just be active on defense. I think that's going to be his like strong suit, is defending and just getting out in the open court, because things slow down in the playoffs. So it's like he's going to struggle a lot, I think. So
Mike, do you trust his offense come playoff time?
No. My thing was a man offensively is just not like playmaking wise. I feel like that's gonna be very limited. Everything is gonna be very limited. I feel like we're gonna see a limited version of a man Thompson. Sometimes they gonna game plan just to get a man Thompson out the game. So off little stuff like that, I feel like that's gonna really hurt him. And defensively, yeah, he be like when he locked in, he is one of the best perimeter defenders you feel me, this generation, we seeing right now. Like he's very young. He's doing his big one. But when he get frustrated, he's more of the angrier twin. He's the one that's going to foul out. He's the one that's going to get that flagrant. We don't need that. That's giving the other team momentum, all that type of, we feel me? I want to get touched up on that. Like that's the main thing. Like, yes, he is. I feel like we're gonna see a limited offensive version, and we're gonna see if the game is getting to him, a man will get a flagrant here and there for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that anger, because I want him to take that same aggression and instead of trying to fight people on the court, go to the basket. Like,
For
be
sure.
more aggressive in transition, be more aggressive downhill. Um, we all know that shooting touch is not coming right now for sure. So how can you affect the game in ways that actually play to your strengths? We'll see what Amin Thompson looks like in playoff time, and if he develops, from what he did last year. So, moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Reese, I kind of want to actually go back to you. I see you got Jaden McDaniel, aka you got Jaden McDaniels, aka look KD.
KD.
I'll
Tell
pick
me,
Jaden McDaniels just because what Ant said, man. They got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. You hear me? You feel me? Like that's really the X factor of the team. Even your boy Ant said there's no way to get around it with this team. Like we know Julius Randle is who he is. He's gonna be up and down no matter what. That's who he is. You're not changing that from him. Rudy Gobert has no bag on offense, but he's a hell of a outside defender and rebounder. That guy is gonna show up in the way that in his role. But Jay McDaniels' role is the Swiss Army knife of this team. And that Swiss Army knife up in the playoff series, when the game is slowing down, you need a swing. and you hit him in the corner, he got to attack out that short corner, or he got to play on defense and guard the best player every series. That is your X factor for your team, because he can score on all 3 levels and he can guard one. Really, I would have him guarding at least 3 through 5 right now. Like he can play all defense on the help side, the on ball. He's a disruptor. He does everything they need on the dirty work side, and he's just that guy when it comes to those moments in the playoffs, and he's shown that. Like, so this the year where he has to prove if he want to stay on this team. And I'm not gonna lie, I think they're gonna shake some things up if they don't prove, because he was a part of trade conversations before the trade deadline, but Ant saved him. Ant told them, no, I want to keep my guy Jaden. So if he don't show up in this X factor, like as an X factor in this playoffs, might be some feathers getting ruffled over there. So shout out Jaden though. I think I got faith in him. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Deszo, what's your thoughts on Jaden McDaniel? I see you got him as well for your X factor.
Yeah, Reese touched up on pretty much everything. I just want him to just stay engaged. He's one of those guys as well that can get like took out of games just because little tic-tacky fouls here and there with just him being so aggressive on defense. So as long as he stays engaged into games, man, he definitely like changes what Minnesota can do in the playoffs. So, but I think Reese touched up on pretty much everything.
Yeah. I had Julius Randle for mine. He was their second best player last year. I think he gave us a playoff run that we didn't really expect from him at all. So I think if they want to be successful, we're gonna need that same Julius Randle this upcoming postseason. Mike, Julius Randle, he was getting buckets last year. He was doing everything for him. Can he continue that consistency from last postseason, or is he gonna fall off and resort back to his Knick days?
Me personally, and I feel like Reese kind of touched it up with Julius Randle when he said he's gonna be up and down, and I agree with both of you guys. And I'm gonna mix it up with what Dez said about Jaden McDaniels, and I feel the same way about Julius Randle. It's some games he can get thrown off. You feel me? He not on top of his game some games, and I feel like those be the games he only, you feel me, has 16. So if he can, you feel me, get his attitude right, you ain't gonna get every call, bro. We get it. They missed the call. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that's my only thing with Julius Randle.
I want to know
Wanna-
Vaughn though, man. Vaughn,
Yeah,
I
Vaughn,
seen
you
we
got
seen his list, bro. Io, you got to talk to us on that one.
My thought process going into this, kind of what you said, Reese. We know what we're gonna get out of Julius, but I kind of broadened it. We know what we're gonna get out of all these niggas for real. We know what we're gonna get out of all of these guys. Honestly, I feel like in terms of Rudy and BKD, you feel me? With Io being a new addition to this team, and we all praise this addition, we know those role players can change games a little bit, as we see in a Aaron Gordon or a Christian Braun, you feel me, or a KCP back in those Lakers days. Like if Io can come in and give them that spark that they need, I feel like it'll alleviate a lot of the pressure when those guys like Julius Randle or Jaden McDaniels have those off nights. You feel me? So I really kind of went role player because we don't know how Io will look in a playoff setting with this, especially this being his first time in the playoffs. You feel me, riding in the Bulls. So it's a different atmosphere. But if that role player he is can turn up for them, just like we've seen in those other guys that I named, then it's gonna work wonders. You feel me? I would love to see that, even if it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Honestly.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
the sumo.
I ain't gonna
We'll see what
lie.
he brings.
Ain't nobody worried about no Io. He not moving no needles. But we can go ahead and go next.
But we wasn't worried about Christian Braun either. You feel me? Until we were.
He not Christian Braun. Back on next.
Hey, we gonna see what IU do. Moving on to the Denver Nuggets. Reese, we've seen Aaron Gordon become this super role player. And we saw some of the things he did last year, where things that role players just don't do. He was hurt. He's hurt currently, but he'll be back by the time the playoffs come around. Can he be that same player for them?
And that's I'm glad you already took the words right out of my mouth. It's not necessarily his play, it's his health. Is he gonna come back from that? I believe it's a calf injury he's having. It's a lingering calf injury or something. I can't remember exactly what's been lingering for him that's been keeping him off the floor majority of this year. But as every time we see him come back, he looked like a shell of himself this season. He hasn't really, he hasn't fully recovered at any of them stints that he came back. I mainly been paying attention to that because I had him on fantasy. I had faith in the boy, and he kept coming back, not putting up no numbers. So if they want to be able to take the OKC to Game 7, how everybody been praising and hyping up this roster and hyping up the GM for creating this dominant Denver roster, he has to be there and he has to be on the floor and he has to be fully healthy for them to work. Because his offensive output is, you know what I'm saying, it's a plus and it's a surge, but it's really his energy. Is his energy. So they need Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, they definitely need Aaron Gordon. I see it was a clean slate outside of Aaron Gordon. We all had Cam Johnson, who's had a lackluster season for what we kind of expected. Dezo, can Cam Johnson get right by the time the playoffs come around to get his team what they hoped he would initially?
I think he can. Cam is one of those guys that have experience in the playoffs and deep playoff runs and things like that. But he definitely needs to because if he doesn't, it's going to make the Nuggets organization look like the MPJ trade was, you know, pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? Like MPJ definitely was looking way better than what Cam Johnson is right now. But yeah, he just kind of needs to just get his 3-point shooting a little better and just, if he can get a little more active on defense, that can help them out. But I think, man, they're gonna really need him because of course we know in the playoffs, like Jokic starts to see 2-3 bodies at a time. So if he's not knocking down those wide open looks that he's gonna get, it's like gonna be a big problem for Denver and how far they can go, I think.
Yeah, I saw somebody say that the lights might be too bright for Cam Johnson, and we haven't seen, even with the Suns, we haven't seen him really play super well in the playoffs. Mike, are the lights too bright?
Lights are definitely bright. Cam Johnson, I'm not gonna say too much on it. Dez really touched up on it good. I just feel like he got some big important shoes to fill up. Like, you feel me? MPJ was an important role. Like, even though we all might not agree with it with his shot selection, but he make them. So Cam
Right.
Johnson, he haven't showed that at all. So
Yeah. Well, I know. Talk to me.
Honestly, they kind of touched every point, especially like with losing MPJ because MPJ was really good on the glass. You feel me? So if Cam Johnson is still a shell of himself come playoff time, it just caused more problems for this Nuggets team, and we expect them to go far.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out Peyton Watson though. I'm surprised nobody put Peyton on that mug because he did show signs of like life
I have to
during the
ask
season.
about him too. That's wild.
Yeah.
I asked about him a couple of weeks ago, y'all. It's like right after I asked about him, bro.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah,
bro,
he
how
was
y'all feel
killing.
about Peyton?
That's a good shout, Reese. That's a good shout for sure. To close us out for the Western Conference X Factor, we got the Lakers. And Vaughn, don't go too far because I'm coming back to you. I know you haven't watched. I know you haven't wanted to watch too much of the Lakers, especially because of this player. So DeAndre Ayton, bro.
Yeah.
What is DeAndre Ayton gonna look like come playoff time?
What is he gonna look like, or what do I hope he looks like? I think that's the real because what he gonna look like is probably a minor step up from what we're seeing now, just because it's a different atmosphere, but nothing drastic to change the tides that we're gonna get from the outcome. But I feel like with the Lakers having front court issues over the past couple of years, you feel me? If DA doesn't even produce the double that we need, probably get bounced first round, honestly, especially going against a team like the Timberwolves or the Spurs, whoever we end up playing. You feel me? So they just need to show up and learn to buy into a role rather than talk about Clint Capella. You feel me?
I think dominating is definitely
Stop calling him that.
dominating definitely the X factor of the Lakers gang. I'm not gonna lie to you. He got to buy in. That's all I got to say about him. Buy into your role, bro. You were the pick and roll man. You the defensive anchor. You're the rebounder. That's all you can do for this roster. That's all you can provide for this roster. You think you can have a bigger role? That's not what we'll figure that out next year if you still here next year. But right now, this year for this current construction of the roster, buy into your role, and then y'all will be able to make it out the first round.
Because teams are looking for a certain player out of you at this point in your career, and if you are, if there's a disconnect between who you are and who you think you are, it's gonna be an issue when it comes to signing you. So if Da can buy in and be what the Lakers need him to be, or is the best version of Da that the Lakers want, I think the Lakers can make a little bit of noise in the playoffs, but if he comes out and he's been exactly how he has been the entire season, up and down, he'll go a week where he's hooping, and then he'll start complaining. Then it's gonna be struggles for him. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see whose X factor actually comes to be for each of these teams. And it remains to be seen who comes and steps up come playoff time. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is our Western Conference X Factor. If you haven't checked out our Eastern Conference one, again, please go ahead and check that one out. We appreciate all the support. Please go follow us. We on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And stay tuned for more videos. If y'all have any ideas, please drop them in the comment section. But without further ado, we out here, y'all.
Yes, sir. We out.